If I may ask, look, Need Divine, I'm looking at one of the questions on the screen here about TPS for Cameroonians.
Yeah, we'll come to we'll come to that. We'll
Okay,
just
good.
yeah
Okay,
yeah we will come to that. Let's.
okay.
I have a follow up on this question of asylum. Now, if your asylum application was denied, what should you do? Do you have any legal recourse?
Yes. So it just depends who is, because there are two ways of you seeking asylum in the United States. It's either defensive or affirmative. Affirmative is, let's say you take a visa from, let's use Cameroon. If any other listener is from another country, please pardon me, let me use Cameroon. I can use Nigeria or any other country.
Sure.
You take a visa from your country, you come to the United States, but you're actually fleeing from persecution. Now you go to, you come to the airport, you declare that, hey, I'm coming here to seek protection. Now you would have to, they either have to send you to the court, or if they deny you entry, now they will send you to the court, which is the Executive Office of Immigration Review. Now it's under the Department of Justice. You go, they issue a notice to appear, you go to immigration court, and you sort it out there. But now if you come on that same visa, they admit you into the United States. Let's say you're a student, you go, you start school, then you realize that maybe you suffered persecution in your country, or the conditions have become untenable. Now you cannot go back to your country. Now you seek asylum. That's affirmative, because you are doing it inside the safety of the United States. You were granted admission into the United States. Then now that's affirmative asylum. Let's say it's denied, and now you file with USCIS, which is the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services. That's where you file your asylum application. If it is denied, you can appeal that decision to the Board of Immigration Appeals for another chance again, to see if there is a likelihood that the question of law was not properly addressed by the asylum officer. Same thing with the immigration court. Let's say you walk across the border, you step foot on the United States, you tell them, okay, I'm fleeing persecution from my country because of my political opinion. After a credible fear interview, they let you in. You see an immigration judge. You go through the due process. After your notice appear, you've been served by DHS. You go to a master calendar hearing. You go through your individual hearing. If for some reason you're not successful, they give you 30 days to appeal that decision. You can appeal to the same judge, or you can appeal to the Board of Immigration Appeals. But sometimes it's counterintuitive, because the same judge that denied your asylum application, you go back to that same judge to look at it. Except you must prove that there is a point of law that he did not properly address, which is a little bit difficult sometimes. But if you believe that there is a point of law or a point of fact that the immigration judge did not properly address, then you can take it directly to the Board of Immigration Appeals. So that's where you go. And if they deny, you can go to the circuit courts. So that's another route again for you to take if your asylum application is denied. So yes, there is recourse for you to seek redress after your initial asylum application is denied.
Is Attorney Aneneba Akufo. Question now about TPS. Many people are on the temporary protective status, TPS. Should they be worried?
Yes, it depends also, because some people on TPS who actually had legal entry into the United States. And I always make that distinction, because if you came, let's say you came on a B2 visa, or you came as a student and you were in the United States after your studies, you did not leave, you've never sought any relief, like an adjustment of status here in the United States. You were undocumented, put it that way. And if it just so happens that within that time period, your country, Cameroon, was designated as a beneficiary of the TPS, which is a temporary protective status, then you are allowed to stay. But after it expires, if they decide not to renew it, now you fall back to your previous status, which is you're unlawfully present in the United States. But the other category of people that benefit from that particular order or from that particular relief, it's a temporary relief. They are people who had been issued removal orders already. So you went to immigration court, you did not succeed. They issued you a removal order. So you were ordered removed from the United States, but you just did not leave because you were in front of a docket. You were leaving your house, going to court. So because if you did not succeed, they just don't take you into custody. They give you 30 days to appeal that decision. If you went through that process and everything was complete, you did not win that particular case, now you have that order, it becomes permanent. So TPS, what happened, because you had people here in the United States who had been issued removal orders, tens of thousands of them, they just did not leave. So when TPS came, they decided to apply for TPS. Now they give you a work authorization, they give you a social security card, and you can move around. But the catch now is, now you've told them that you were issued this order and you just did not leave. So now, if they decide not to renew TPS, absolutely they will come after you. So I always tell the people that before you even start the TPS application, I tell you that, okay, if they do not renew this, know that the government now knows that you did not leave the United States. They can actually come after you, and they have every right. Those are the type of people Mr. Trump is saying that they had final removal orders, they need to leave the United States, and they will pursue them. So I tell people, if you're on TPS, you are hanging on a shoestring. If they decide not to renew it, they can come after you.
We love Voices of Africa.
And my name is Divine Nchamakong. If you would like to contact lawyer Aneneba Akufo, the number is 678 675 0395. 678 675 0395. Now the question from Alea Atunji. Barrister, what do you think about TPS, which is supposed to expire for Cameroonians by April 2025? Are there prospects for renewal? And if not, what would be your advice for undocumented immigrants who are on TPS? That's a strong one. That's tough.
But that's what we just talked about just a while ago, because if you are he said, if it expires in April 2025, if you're undocumented and if they do not renew TPS, or if they do not reauthorize it, that's the DHS. If they decide not to reauthorize TPS, now you fall back to your previous status, which is you are undocumented, and they can come after you. So it's pretty cut and dry, because you had a removal order, you did not leave. Now they bring out this program because they realize that in Cameroon there is political turmoil, there are problems back there. You cannot go back because of the pressure. Now they issue you that temporary relief. While you're here, you can get work authorization, you can get a social security. And this also goes to people still in immigration court who have removal orders, but there is something called a withholding of removal. Which is also part of the asylum process, or you're being issued an order of supervision, which means once every year you have to go back to ICE, Immigration and Custom Enforcement, to report to them that I am still here, I'm still maintaining my address. But in that particular situation, they would be issuing you a work authorization on a yearly basis.
What category of immigrants are required by law to move with their papers within the United States?
You see, we just talked about racial profiling. You have to understand the overtones here in the United States. People that don't look like Americans, according to the favor of Mr. Trump and his supporters, you can be profiled at any moment if they think that you have done something wrong. Because look at it this way. He actually revoked the Sensitive Locations Act. The Sensitive Locations Act, which is an HR 1815 rule that was passed, which forbids an immigration officer to go to a church in search of people, to go to the hospital in search of people, to go to a grocery area in search of people, that people within a particular racial minority shop in that particular area, or in schools searching for illegal immigrants. That act was revoked January 20th. So if you are someone, let's say, coming from south of the border, and you attend a particular church, which is 100% your type of church, a Hispanic church, for example, those are places now that you have to hold your documents before you go to church, because unfortunately, when they come there, they know that 90% of those people are Hispanics, right? If they come to that particular church, they're not looking, they don't know who is a non-immigrant and or who has proper documentation. So to be on the safe side, I tell my clients, even if you're a US citizen, there is a passport card that you can carry. If you're a green card holder, or even if your asylum application is pending, or any relief that you sought in the United States is still pending, hold your papers, hold the notices of action, put them in your pocket, so that when they come and you get caught in that particular dragnet, you can present your papers. Because when sometimes it's a total overhaul that they come for everybody, unlike when they target specific criminals, that people who have removal orders or people who have committed offenses, they go after those specific people. But if they come, for example, and you are with one of those people, I mean, they will take you also, it's a collateral. But again, to answer that particular question, if you are a sensitive minority, I don't know why I use that word sensitive, but if you know that you belong to that type of a group of people that it's very easy for you to be profiled, what I would do is I would travel with my papers. I actually told my wife the other day that she should always hold her passport card, American passport card, so that if anything happens, you can always show that card, because you don't know where you would be, and you would be flushed, caught in that particular dragnet.
Well, so my dear Christian brothers and sisters, don't leave your papers back home hoping that the Holy Spirit will protect you. These guys, immigration and customs enforcement officials, ICE agents, they can get right there when you're on your knees speaking in tongues, and it wouldn't matter to them. Ask you this question. When you come in contact with ICE, one, if you were coming into the country, you have a green card, they're asking you to sign papers. What should you do? Part A of the question. Part B, when you come face to face with ICE agents, whether in a restaurant, you took a girlfriend or your wife to go eat and they come in, or in your church, you are praying, they say, Pastor, stop that music, and they start face to face with an ICE agent. What do you do? Everybody wants an answer from you.
Keep watching Like Africa.
Okay, so the thing is, to answer that question, we look at the law as it is and what the law ought to be. And now we're looking at legal positivism and the morality in law itself, because what the law is not actually what the law ought to be. Those are things that we can actually, discuss this in, another day. But if the law, again, the law, the law is a command issued by a sovereign, backed by, threat of sanctions. So if the ICE agent is coming for you, it is not something that you should be afraid of. In America, once you set foot on American soil, you have an equal protection of the US Constitution, whether you have legal documentation or you do not. Once you are in the United States, you have it. You have that. You have the protection of the US Constitution. And if let's say you're at a grocery store and the ICE agents comes there, now they want to arrest you. Number one, you ask them, do you have a warrant to arrest me? And I would like to see that warrant. Does that warrant actually show my name? Or the first thing is, you don't even have to talk to an ICE agent when they come in. You don't have to talk to them. Just as I said, the First Amendment gives you the right to be silent also, and the Fifth Amendment, the right to be silent. Just as the First Amendment gives you the right to talk, the Fifth Amendment gives you the right not to talk. So if you come in contact with an ICE agent at a grocery store, for example, and he talks to you, you have a reason to stay quiet. There is, we give this little cards to people, which is like a card which tells the ICE agent that I want to remain silent. I don't want to sign any paper. I don't want to talk to you. I want to see the search warrant, and I want to see my name on the search warrant, and I have a right to talk to my attorney, to call my attorney. Once you show that particular card to the ICE agent, they know that now you know what your rights are. And if they decide that they have a search warrant, ask them to show you. I'm presuming the presumption is you are able to read that warrant. Now look at that warrant correctly. Is that warrant signed by an ICE officer, somebody from the Department of Homeland Security, or it is signed by a judge? It makes quite a big distinction who signed that particular warrant, because under the 4th Amendment, no warrant shall issue but upon the showing of probable cause. Somebody must have gone to a magistrate, sworn an affidavit as an affiant, saying that there is probable cause that something has happened and we need a warrant to go serve this particular individual. If it's coming from a magistrate, signed, and your name is on it, you have to obey that. You have to follow that agent. But if it's an ICE warrant, and believe it or not, 9 out of 10 times when they come for you, they don't even have any of those warrants. They don't have the ICE warrant. They don't have the judge's warrant. So if there is no warrant, they have no right to arrest you, especially if you know you have not committed any criminal offense, especially if you know that you don't have any removal order, just your mere presence in the United States. And that's why we tell some of our clients, even carrying a foreign passport at that moment becomes a little bit risky, because if you are searched, again, they cannot violate your constitutional rights by search and seizure, try to pat you down to see if you have a passport or things like that. You just have no right. You have the right not to tell them where you're from. Don't tell them I'm from Nigeria, I'm from Togo, I'm from Ghana, I'm from Chile, I'm from Peru. You don't have, it's your right to be silent. It's a constitutional protection and you're accorded that. So there is an ICE warrant and there is a judicial warrant. The judicial warrant from a magistrate that's been sworn based on an affidavit on probable cause, that's something you have to respect and you have to look at that one. So again, it depends. But when it comes to workplace rates, that's totally different. They just come there. That's where you talk about the profiling, because they know that, and they must have had statistics that lots of people working at that particular factory or that particular workplace, they don't have documentation, and they take their time to study all these areas before they come in. So that's a dragnet. There will be collateral in there, and even people who are legally present will be caught in that particular dragnet. But rest assured, if you are lawfully present in the United States with proper relief, they will release you.
Lawyer Aneneba Aku, for lots of these undocumented immigrants pick crops in different fields. Could be oranges, mangoes, cabbages, carrots, and so on. Owners of those agro-industries are beginning to complain that, but if you ship out these guys, then the nation is going to go hungry. That's another debate. Yes. The question is, why do ICE agents not go after the people who are employing the people they want to take out of the country in the first place? Is that something that protects employers who employ undocumented immigrants? And because the whole thing is looking like President Trump seems to have some secret cows. He leave them alone and go after soft targets. That's my reading of it. I could be wrong.
Well, that's a political question. I cannot really answer that particular part because, as an employer, you are not supposed to employ somebody who is not authorized to legally work in the United States. If you're doing that, I think the Department of Labor, because I think the Form I-9, which they have to verify at all times, whether you have the proper documentation, or if you're coming to pick crops, they give you the seasonal visas to come in and do it. those ICE agents can always come and verify who has what on that particular farm. You bring your list of your employees and we verify to make sure that they are legally present here. But whether you can go after the employers, that's something that the Department of Justice can actually go after you if there is verifiable proof that you